Joining us now from Bristol is Tony Gosling, historian and investigative journalist, for more on the story. Hello, Tony. Always a pleasure to check in with you. Hope you're safe and doing well out there in Bristol. Tell us, this is a developing story for quite some time. It blew everyone's minds, the fact, without a proper and formal probe, so many countries that played such an integral part of UNRWA funding pulled their funding. Knowing there's 25, 30,000 employees, that UNRWA came out the very second day of their pause to the funding, saying, hey, we give a list of our employees to the Israeli regime, to Jordan, to Syria, to Lebanon, so they could do extra vetting themselves every single year. They still went ahead. What's the point of, first of all, why does Israel want funding to UNRWA to stop? And why were countries so quick to jump on the bandwagon without a proper probe, Tony?
Fantastic, important questions. You're absolutely right to ask them, but let's just refresh our memories as to how this started. It was the day of the announcement of the International Court of Justice in The Hague that Israel was under warning from the court after South Africa started the process last year that they must do everything to stop genocide. Obviously, many of us have believed that the genocide is going on, but on the day of that announcement, the Israelis sent out what you can only describe as the most poisonous, toxic diplomatic communique around to their friends in the Western world, making these allegations about the UN Relief and Work Agency, UNRWA, having harboured some of the Hamas terrorists from the 7th of October. Well, the number was 12 individuals. There are 12,000 employees of UNRWA, and the fact is that these were just allegations. And the countries that went along with this, well, look at the main countries. United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. Well, who is this along with Israel? It's the Five Eyes intelligence services of the Anglo-Zionist Empire. And so they're not really testing the information that the Israelis have put out about UNRWA and alleged links to the 7th of October. They are simply doing a knee-jerk reaction, which is actually complicit with the genocide. The other countries, France, Holland, Germany, Sweden, Italy, Romania, Estonia, Finland, these are now NATO countries. So we're looking at the Anglo-Zionist countries and NATO being the ones to try to stop food getting through to the Palestinians. And to add insult to injury, we also have the revelations about the guy linked to Egyptian intelligence, Ibrahim Orghani, that he, as an individual, is charging, his company is charging these aid trucks $5,000 each to go into Gaza through the Rafah crossing. And so this is an enormous racket, profiteering on the genocide that's going on, and the most cynical attitude by the Egyptian government. And particularly this Egyptian Ibrahim Orghani himself. So at the end of the day, the effect obviously on the Palestinians is they're starving, they're dying, they're being killed, and that these Western countries, particularly the Anglo-Zionist Empire, the Five Eyes and NATO, are complicit quite willingly and merrily, it seems, in this mass murder.
Right, but even if it was true, I mean, if even 100 Hamas members worked for UNRWA up until October 7th, Tony, it's like you ask yourself, I mean, do you disband the Minneapolis, Minnesota Police Department because of George Floyd's fatality? Do you, I mean, you could, where is the rationale, where is the logic to pulling UNRWA funding when you know that the Israelis are not letting in desperately needed aid into Gaza, that women and children are dying of starvation? That had nothing to do with that operation on October the 7th.
Well, yes, and it's all based on allegations. So there should have been nothing happen straight away. Those allegations should have been investigated, but they weren't. And look, this is the criminal elite, the deep state within the West that's helping Israel. The actual population, as you've seen, I'm sure, in London is coming out every Saturday with these mass demonstrations, up to 2 million or so people coming out to demonstrate in support of Palestine. And I noticed just in New York, they had a fun run at the weekend which raised $2 million in one event for UNRWA. for the Palestinian aid effort. So the people are absolutely 100% behind the Palestinians. It's just this criminal elite in the West, which we as a population have got to do our duty and remove by whatever means, that are actually causing and helping and aiding this genocide, without which, particularly the United States and Britain, the Israelis would have to stop immediately if diplomatic pressure was put on by either of our two countries. So that's why I think there's so much demonstration on the streets here, because we support these people in Palestine, of course we do, and Britain bears a specific responsibility, having had the British mandate between the two world wars and then handing the land over to the Israeli state in 1948.
Okay, Tony, we don't have a lot of time left, but why is the regime gone after UNRWA for so many years? If you remember that so-called deal of the century by the Trump administration, it was very unpopular with the Palestinians. They laughed it off. What did he do out of spite? He went after UNRWA. And that's obviously due to the direction by the Israelis. I mean, they basically tell Washington, hey, anytime you want to hit the Palestinians where it hurts, go after UNRWA. What does the regime have UNRWA on its site so often?
Well, because UNRWA is putting food into the mouths of the Palestinians, isn't it? And actually, any kind of state and civil society, civilized infrastructure, is under attack by Israel and by the Britain and the United States. And I just think we need to understand that there is massive support in the West for the Palestinians. In fact, we have put pressure on to get a few of these aircraft flying over, dropping aid in to Gaza, which has been some sort of help. But the Israelis are hell-bent here on massacres, on mass murder, really a mincing machine that they've produced in Gaza, to kill potentially here millions of people ultimately, and this is part of a strategy to start a war in the Middle East which will cover the tracks of people like Benjamin Netanyahu. He's under assault locally, as you know, for many months. Last year and this year there have been demonstrations on the streets of Tel Aviv by Israelis against Netanyahu. He knows the only way he can stay in power is to keep this war going. He doesn't care how many millions of people he kills, rather like Bush and Blair and the invasion of Iraq.
All right, stay safe, Tony. Always a pleasure. From Bristol, Tony Gossing,
Thank you.
Historian, investigative journalist. You bet, but thank you.